trying to think of a way in which video games could be a good activity, and I just can't.
At the moment, the level of violence in our society has been declining for the last 30 years in pretty much a straight line. And actually, ironically, you can chart the level of decline of violence in the UK matches exactly the emergence of video games.
I mean, there's obviously a big debate at the moment in psychology about the harmful and positive effects.
It's good to kind of lose yourself in a game for, a couple of hours maybe.
In the past 20 years, video games have become a mainstream form of entertainment, and the games industry is currently worth over $40 billion. In recent years, it has attracted controversy, as there have been many media outcries at the violence in video games, and even reports that games lead to people being violent in reality. Video games also have a place in society, allowing friends to play games with one another. Since their beginnings in arcades, video games have always been designed to play socially. Loading interview. Interview loaded.
With online gaming, you do get to meet new people, which is always good, and they often come from, very different backgrounds and different countries. But also, I think sometimes gaming might take you away from, the real life if you spend too much time on it. I mean, obviously, gaming needs to be done in moderation. Otherwise, you could just become obsessed with your console rather than what's actually happening.
I have 4 children, aged 11, 9, 6 and 4. And because I wanted my children to love me more, I bought them a Nintendo DS Lite after a sustained campaign by the elder 2 children. And we had a strict agreement that one would use it one day, the other the next, etc. This was a total disaster. The children became obsessed with using the DS Lite. Fights broke out over it, and the children stayed up all night. I found them playing at 11 o'clock at night under their bedclothes, and it was like bringing the devil's spawn into the house. It was absolutely dreadful. I really regretted it.
Video games for me are primarily entertainment. I think that they're absolutely brilliant entertainment. You compare them to TV and films, I think they're just simply way better. You spend your time interacting with a work, responding to a challenge, you're actively thinking, moving. For me, it's infinitely better than the kind of the one-way nature of entertainment with film and TV.
What really happened was that, particularly with the 9-year-old, his character changed when he started playing with the DS Lite. He became completely obsessed by it and played in a very, very intense manner. And when it was removed from him or turned off, he went into a sort of fit of fury and anger and started hitting people with the DS Lite. So when he clonked his younger sister, aged 6, on the head with the DS Lite, a sort of red mist came over my eyes. And I got into the car and I drove to Cancer Research and I said, "Here is our DS Lite, please sell it for as much as you can." And I came back and the children said, "Where is the DS Lite?" I said, "I've given it to Cancer Research." And they cried real tears. And then, after about half an hour, they forgot about it and they've never mentioned it since. And I'm absolutely thrilled.
A short history of video games. In the beginning, there was Pong. This simple bat and ball game is considered by many to be the first ever video game. Other simple arcade games like Space Invaders and Pac-Man soon followed. The age of video games had begun. Video games became so popular that people wanted to be able to play them in their own homes, so along came consoles such as Amiga and the Nintendo Entertainment System. Game characters like Mario and Sonic the Hedgehog soon became household names. With the success of games such as Doom and Mortal Kombat, game companies realized that violence sells, and violent games became more and more common. Grand Theft Auto, Manhunt, and other similar games created much controversy in the media, which in turn led to more sales. Family games with bright, colorful characters continued to do well. The success of Nintendo's Wii console in recent years proves that, but violent video games have been consistently popular over the years and continue to be so today.
It is free, it is online, and it allows kids to torture.
A teenager
confessed to robbing and murdering a taxi driver while trying to recreate a scene from the controversial game.
What you tend to find is you're going to get a minority of games that have a lot of violence in them. The games that people often cite are usually for older audiences. So, I mean, you had about 2-3 years ago, didn't you, Grand Theft Auto, for example, and there was a big furore about the violence within that game.
I think what's interesting is that games have been blamed for a relatively short period of time, and already now we've seen with the emergence of Grand Theft Auto 4, that a lot of the mainstream press has said very clearly, we don't actually think that Grand Theft Auto 4 is going to cause people to be violent.
You are going to get individuals who will have some kind of negative effect. And the debate at the moment is whether they were predisposed already to behave in that way, you know, violently or aggressively, and this has just been a trigger, or whether these games have actually encouraged a behaviour change.
If you compare other kind of histrionic or other panics in the past, violent videos in the 80s, comic books, rock and roll, even the novel in the 19th century, people were saying the novel, you know, they're causing people to go out and cause all, and be sexually licentious, all this kind of insanity.
It sounds likely that if you're a nutter and you're going to go off and kill someone on the streets, you might get kicks out of watching that sort of thing at home. Equally, if you're a genius, you might be very good at Nintendo DS brain training. None of these things have been proved. I just know from personal experience that I didn't like what I saw my children becoming obsessed with interacting with a screen-based game.
Friend or foe?
Are video games friend or foe? A friend, undoubtedly.
Video games, friend or foe? In my personal opinion, from the research I've kind of been involved in and the stuff I've read, I think overall the pedometer sweeping probably more towards the kind of friend aspect. So I would say friend in the kind of big scheme of things.
Video games, foe, never to come into my house, and if I never ever have to play them, I will be very grateful.
Friend or foe?
Friend, yeah, friend.
Yeah.